Welcome to Before Floor, the pregame edition of Five on the Floor, brought to you by the Five Reasons Sports Network. I'm your host, Jonathan, aka 3-Piece Combo. We got Timmy rocking the Jimmy Butler jersey. Don't let us win one. Timmy, is that a threat or
That's, that's the plan. The plan is not
is
going
that
to
Marcus Smart begging the Miami Heat to put them out of their misery? I'm gonna let
please.
you answer real quick.
No,
What do you think?
I think he wants to be put out of his misery. Don't
Yeah.
ask for one. Okay, we won't.
The only issue with tonight's game, obviously, Scott Foster being announced
The
for it.
extender.
The extender, Boston 12-0 this season with Scott Foster as head official. Miami 1-10, I think, is the number, with the last one being that win against the New York Knicks in that clincher against them. Guys, before we get into any of that, make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you guys subscribe. We're one game away from the NBA Finals. So if you want to make sure, and not just the Miami Heat, the Florida Panthers are also doing their thing on the ice. We got Alex Bumgarner covering them. I'm pretty sure Manny does some coverage with them too. But make sure you guys follow the Five Reasons Sports Network. Subscribe here on the network. Like all the videos. Make sure you guys don't miss out on any of the content, because what are they going to be talking about during this finals? They're going to be talking about, is LeBron James is going to retire, right? Excellent PR move by LeBron James to keep his name in media. But this, obviously, if you want to make sure you don't miss out any Miami Heat content, Five Reasons Sports, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everything. Make sure you guys follow us there too. Now, as always, guys, we want to thank our sponsor here at the pregame show, which is Mark Brown PA. So make sure you guys head over to markbrownpa.com. That's MARC brownpa.com. Like you see, he's the man with the plan. He'll take care of all your real estate closures, any real estate lawyer issues, any estate closure issues. You want to make sure that your estate planning goes well, that if something happens to you in this crazy world, that your assets go to the right people. You want to go into your family and not to the government, right? So make sure that you get all that taken care of now, so you don't have to worry about that later down the line, or have your family worry about that stuff. So give him a call, 954-866-8513. He gives you a free consultation as well. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you figure it out, because it's just like your retirement. It's just like setting up all that stuff. You want to make sure all your gooses or all your eggs are in a line before that gets going. So make sure you hit him up. And he's a Heat fan, so you give your business to Heat fans and not any Celtics fans or Lakers fans or Nuggets fans, right? So make sure you go to markbrownpa.com. We'll talk about PrizePicks later. The promo code for that is 5FIVE, but that'll double your deposit up to $100. We'll talk a little bit more when we get to our PrizePicks predictions. But let's get into game 4, Timmy. The last two games, I haven't actually been here. I've been at a wedding, but I was watching the game, actually right next to a Celtics fan, and he has absolutely no faith in his team. And at this point, I texted him congratulations earlier when I learned about the Scott
The
Foster news,
extender.
and he still does not have faith in this Celtics team. So let's get to your confidence meter coming into this game, Timmy. Because me personally, obviously Boston is, regardless of how they're coached, they have a lot of individual talent on that team that can go off, right? Jaylen Brown can go off. We all know what Jason Tatum can do with the shooting, and then with Scott Foster there, maybe getting to the foul line even more. Malcolm Brogdon is another guy that can get going as well. And an old, or an ex 50, 40, 90 guy when he was over with Milwaukee. So that's a guy who can be efficient and hurt you in the minutes that he's in the game. But they have quite a few players that can hurt us. Going into tonight's game, Timmy, what's your confidence level coming into tonight?
I always say it's going to be a tough series and a hard series, and I thought that last game was it. Like, okay, big deficit because they're going to lose. I'm sorry, that's game 2. That's other game. It was close. Before Love got hurt, he was like, he's about to go off. I think at this point, not even Scott Foster could help them. Very confident in the game plan. Shout out to Brady. He said you'll see a little bit of Bam on Smart, but allows Bam to help off a bit. Bam has just been incredible on both ends. There was all these noise about Time Lord gives him his shoes, Hofford gives him his shoes. Well, Bam was giving them his shoes. I think Time Lord, yes, he's been perfect from the field the last 4 games, but he's played maybe 12 minutes because he just can't keep it with Bam at the bio. Very, very confident. They look good. Everybody looks good. We just need to do it one more time. No, for my anxiety, I want to get out of the way tonight. Let these boys get 9 days off. Let Jimmy rest his ankle some more. Let Love rest that calf. Let Tyler get in some work. Maybe you never know what could happen. But I'm confident. I every time I watch the game and say, okay, Boston take this one. The Heat of the Heat just they get punched in the mouth and they just punch back like there's nothing Boston can show us tonight that's going to make the Heat say, "Oh, I'm terrified. I'm scared." Like this team is just, I guess, credit to those clutch games they played all the season. They just don't get rattled.
That's the thing, man. And those clutch games all season, usually the Heat were the ones that were giving up the lead. That was the issue almost all season long. They weren't the ones fighting from behind. Their issue was getting a lead, and as a
I'm
collective,
blown. I'm
fans
blowing it. Yeah.
and blowing that lead because the bigger the lead, the more nervous fans got because we knew that lead could dwindle down. Aaron Porton is saying 20 or 35, 14, and what was that? I don't know. We got some good numbers there, but hey, I'll take it. 34, 15, and 5. Bam in closeout games is a
He's
different
him.
monster. So,
But come,
Aaron, that's an
come on, Jay.
excellent point there.
Caleb was averaging 19.3 points on 63% shooting.
And Gabe is averaging 17. So we have a lot of Andre Trinidad saying we need Haslam for Jokic. That's I mean, maybe in his prime, man, but this Jokic is different.
The man's
He's,
different.
he's nearly unguardable. I mean, when it comes to the big man that can do it all. And obviously, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We still need to close out, like Real Issues podcast says. We need to close out the game tonight. But the shots that Jokic have been making have been insane. The pass is insane.
Like that
The
shot
tip
he made off the wrong foot, falling back at the end of the
off
quarter.
just the way he's doing it is just phenomenal. And I'm not the biggest Jokic fan. Obviously, I think as a collective, us Heat fans have a little bit against him for what he did against Morris. But you just can't deny the talent coming out of that player, man. He is
Oh, for sure.
insane. He has the shooting level of Dirk with the passing level of almost a Steve Nash without the finesse, but he has the vision of being able to pass like a Steve Nash. My boy Greg joining us. Appreciate you commenting down below. But let's get into the game for a little more for tonight. Obviously, we talked about the closeout, the closeout Bam when he's playing a little bit more, or when that closeout game presents itself, how much better he is. We know, and obviously not predicting a win, but we know that now there's the Eastern Conference MVP. Now, just for this series, because I think it's a really, really tough question to ask. Jimmy Butler obviously carried the team to beat the number one seed when things probably were the hardest so far, right? That's the toughest matchup we had to face. And obviously Giannis got hurt. Things happened. We've still beat the Bucks in 5. We had 2 straight 14-point comebacks, 15-point comebacks in those 2 last games against them. And Jimmy Butler was the main reason why. When it came to the New York Knicks, Jimmy did his thing. But after he hurt that ankle, we all saw how he wasn't himself. And Bam Adebayo had to be the person taking over. And I think that was his series. This Boston series is really tough to judge because Jimmy's doing his thing, but Bam is also doing his thing a little bit more on both sides, right? Obviously, Jimmy has the flashier steals, but what Bam does, possession to possession, is incredible for him to be able to guard. It's been running to the ground, guarding 1 through 5, but just shutting down their star players and then going on the other end and putting pressure on the rim, making shots. That mid-ranger has been pure. He's been playing excellent and making the decisions without hesitating, and that's been the best part. His passing has been crisp. We're seeing all of the parts of Bam's game come together in this series: the passing, the rebounding, the defending, and the shot making. So that's what we want to see, even if it doesn't end up being a high number. Those are winning plays, and we know that when he plays well, this team plays well. So getting into back to the question, and I'll let you add your point on with that as well. If Miami closes out tonight, who would you give that Eastern Conference MVP to?
So let's look at that stats, right? Do you know who was the leader in points for the Celtics last game?
What? No,
What?
go ahead.
Tatum with 14. 14 points was the high. But I went to look because Butler had 35 in game 1, 27 in game 2, and Finson was the leader with 29. So if Jimmy puts up a bomb tonight, between 30, I actually want Jimmy to get 35 because then he would tie the record for most 35-point games. And if he does that, I think Jimmy gets it. because he would have been the leading scorer for 3 of the 4 games. Even though the role players have strongly carried us through, especially last game, you have Jalen out here, and that's what. And I think they come back with advantage. Jalen saying, "Oh, those guys played well, but they are playing above their level." No, they're not. You guys aren't playing defense. So I expect Jimmy to carry us, but I think the role players have been tired of this undrafted narrative, and they probably don't particularly like Jalen Brown saying that they're playing above their level. Live from the Reno. What are the vibes, Alex? What are the vibes?
What's going on?
Heat and 4.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm trying to be quiet here because I got several other media members around me, unlike usual when I'm recording here. But yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
So I'll ask you the same 2 questions that I asked Timmy so far. What is your confidence coming into tonight's game? And the second question is, we saw that Jimmy had the series against Milwaukee. Bam really took over against the Knicks, but this has been the series where both guys have really showed out offensively and defensively. Obviously, Bam just being a little more consistent on the defensive end, just locking up their star player. But with that being said, and both guys having their moments during this run, if Miami closes it out tonight, who do you think gets that MVP for the Eastern Conference?
Who gets the MVP? I think it's no question it's going to be Jimmy. I mean, the narrative has favored him since the playoffs have started. I think most people on the outside probably think that this is the product of Jimmy taking it up a notch. I'm sure people are starting to give credit to the role players here and there, but I don't think people are going to be giving Bam that much credit, to be honest. I mean, like, you can make a case that Bam has been almost right up there with him. We know, the differences between him and Jimmy when it comes to, their scoring level. But I really do think Bam has been incredibly impactful in the series. Even last game, I think he only had like 5 field goal attempts, and you really still felt him. Physically, they felt him. He's been great. All that being said, it's going to be Jimmy.
Yeah, I do think you're right there. Like you said, the narrative usually controls that, and as good as Bam has been, like Timmy referred to, holding him to 14 points, leading the Celtics, or holding Tatum to 14 points in the last game, and just playing consistent defense against the harder players, and rebounding and passing, just doing an excellent job of all 3 things. I'm loving what we're seeing from Bam Adebayo as that B player, right? As the guy next to Jimmy that's still allowing Jimmy to maybe, if he's getting doubled, because we saw Boston send 2 against him a lot more last game. And Bam was just doing a good job finding cutters, finding open shooters. And maybe it's not the direct pass, but the hockey assist that he's been able to open up for this team has been excellent as well. Let's get into the prize picks before we get into predictions. So guys, as always, if you're going to go to prize picks, you're going to gamble at all, make sure you guys maximize your money. So with prize picks, it's daily fantasy, so you don't have to worry about drafting and then your player getting hurt. Just go ahead. You're going to pick some players. You'll go over or under on points, rebounds, assists, like I'll show you guys right now. But when you guys do that, make sure you use that promo code 5. Spell it out, FIVE. We'll match your initial deposit up to $100, and that's literally up to 20 free players. So you could have played every Miami Heat game in these playoffs thus far using that bonus, or you can just use a quarter, or use the bonus for a quarter of the season going into next year. So make sure you use that promo code 5, match your initial deposit up to $100, and then flex play everything. That's what I always say. Mitigate your risk, flex play it all, make your money regardless, no matter what. But let's get into some picks here, guys. Let's see what the taco is. So we got Caleb Martin with a 16% off, 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists. You're taking the over on that? I think we got the over there for Timmy. So let's do that. And guys, make sure you guys look, shout out in the comments too. I see 21 Alex in there. They got Rob Williams at a half free throw. Is that true? I think I Rob Williams at a half free throw. Do you go over on that? Do you like that? Timmy, you're muted as well.
A half, a free throw. He'll get one. It's Scott's fault tonight. He'll get a free throw.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Shout out to 21 Alex in the comments joining us. Alex Toledo, which player do you want to take a look at for the board? We got full game. We also have first half props and first quarter props. Alex looks like he's frozen again. Timmy, who do you want? Oh no, he's back. There we go.
I think I'm finally good. You guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. The internet is not great right now. What was the last thing you said? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. What player do you want to look at? We got the NBA full game, one first quarter, or also the first half.
What is the first half for Max Strus?
We got him at 7.5 points, rebounds, assists.
What about points?
I don't think they have a points for it. It looks like all the first half stats have been points, rebounds, assists.
I might go over on. I don't know how I feel about the points, rebounds, assists for Max. I might. What is his points for the night?
Overall. Let's see. Is it all they have is point rebounds?
Sorry to derail the show here.
11.5.
I like that. I think in a game like tonight, you see Max get hot. I think the guys are going to go out there loose, knowing what they have to do. Feels like they have this team figured out. Max is going to get some home cooking. I would probably go with the over there.
Would you prefer the over 11.5 or over the 2.5 3-point shots made?
Ooh. I think I like that one better.
Yeah, I think that's why
That's a good call.
Probably more likely that he'll put volume up from deep, regardless. Timmy, who do you want to take a look at?
Let me get Caleb.
Full game, first quarter, first half.
First quarter. Sorry, first half actually. First half.
Gotcha. You want points, rebounds, assists? They got points as well. I just saw they got Max Strus 5.5 points. Alex, I just saw that as well for first half. But if you want to keep the 2.5 threes, I like that one better because you don't know when those threes will come. You know, he might start off cold, get hot late. Might start off hot, get cold late. You know what I mean? So, but Timmy, what did you want for first half? What do you want to look at for first half?
Combine stats.
I like the Bam prop, to be honest.
6. That's it.
Yeah,
I take that. I take that over for sure.
Because first half Bam and closeout games is pretty aggressive. So he goes out there, he gets 2 assists, 8 to 10 points and 4 to 5 rebounds. You're right there. That's all it takes. You know what I mean? And we've seen Bam, especially in these playoffs, have multiple first halves where he's scoring in the double digits or deep in the double digits, where his first half is typically his better half as a scorer. So I do like that a pickup as well. Alex, do you want to throw another pick on there as well? Or do you think it's good to call it 4?
I think it's good there.
Cool. So, guys, like I said, make sure you use that promo code 5 and flex play it. Like you see right here, even if you get 3 out of 4 right, you'll times and a half your money. So that way you're not losing your money. That way, if you win anything, winning is better than not anything at all because that way you can compound your money. Look up compounded interest if you don't know what that is. That way you can maximize your money. Let's get to predictions, guys. Alex, you're joining us fresh out here. Give me a key to tonight's game and your prediction.
So I think key to tonight's game is to come out with the same energy that they came out with last game. I know that type of intangible stuff is usually not really where I go, but just as far as the way they come out, I think you don't want to let them start feeling good about themselves. I might have said this going into last game too, talking to people. I don't remember if I said it on the show or not, but I do think you don't want to let Boston start feeling good about themselves. And most importantly, this could be a night where, they get some hot shooting finally. Like it feels like they've been due for that, not to,
we lost your sound there, buddy.
How about now?
You're back. You're good.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to me if the Celtics kind of had that hot shooting mic. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my mic. Hot shooting night that we've been kind of waiting for. Like they had a few of them in the last series, and I just think the way that the Heat defend, some of those role players are going to get hot eventually. I feel like Derek White has been the only one who consistently made threes from the role players. I mean, Smart, not really. Brogdon kind of comes and goes. I wouldn't be surprised if they just kind of got the ball moving early on and maybe got hot early on with some shooting. But if they don't do it early, I don't really think that the Celtics are going to do it later on. I think they seemed defeated after last game. Everything about their body language, demeanor was off. Usually more stuff that I don't really talk about, but it was just so noticeable, covering Brown, Tatum, and Mazzulla last game. And I was in the locker room too, very quiet, very, very quiet in that locker room. I just don't really believe that those guys believe in themselves. Like all the talk they were doing today, I'm calling cap on that. I don't really think that's true.
Timmy, key to tonight's game, and give us your prediction, man.
You just have to withstand the run. They're gonna come out with a lot of energy. They're gonna try to hit all their shots, but just withstand the run. Withstand the run, and as Bane did the Batman, break them. That's all. Withstand the run.
So this is a tough one for me because obviously officiating, we've been able to outplay officiating. But Jay, like you said, Alex, they're due for a hot shooting game. And then obviously with Scott Foster, this year the Celtics have not lost under Scott Foster. Expect 12-0. I'm pretty sure there's the number,
Wow.
Alex. So 12-0 for Celtics. We're 1-10 against him. I expect this to be a very frustrating game. I do think this is one of the games where the whistle is blown almost at the point of contact, where you'll see a guy get into the guy's body, the whistle will get blown. We'll see a lot of ticky-tack fouls. Marcus Smart will get away with some flops. I can see this being a frustrating game, but I think the way Miami has to outdo that is continue what they've been doing with the shooting. Like you said, I think it was 2 weeks into or 2 weeks left to go in the season. It was me, Timmy, Mateo, and I was talking about the only way this team can have a possible chance for a deep run would be an extreme correction from the 3-point shooting, and it actually happened. So I think that's the way for tonight, especially against a team that's probably going to out free throw us. They're going to probably get to the line between 25, 30 times. Tatum himself probably will get into the double digits from the line. So we'll have to make sure that since the game will be a lot slower, we'll have to set up our defense a lot better, make sure that we get out in transition, match up the way we want to. And like I said, with the 3-point shooting, continue taking those shots with confidence. That's what's been the biggest part about this team is the confidence. But I think from there, this will probably be the toughest game. I think this will be the toughest game because, I mean, no matter what, as a player, you're going to be competitive. You don't want to go out. You don't want to get swept. We saw the Lakers, even though they ended up losing at the end, they fought till the end. So I think this will be a tough game regardless. Might see Mazzulla use all his timeouts. We don't know. But make sure you guys drop your predictions in the comments. I want to thank of a couple of our people that are always joining us. Of course, 21 Alex, who's dropped us a nice little pick. Arlene VP, who's always in there. Cap for life, our boy, always here. We had Mr. Jose Matos. We had Alan Parker Cayetanos joining us. Appreciate you all, guys. Make sure you guys like the video. Make sure to subscribe. Thanks to Alex for popping up and giving us some extra life here from the arena. Hopefully the game goes well. Hopefully you enjoy your time, my man. Good luck with your post-game questions. And thanks to Timmy and Alejandro, as always, for keeping it down here on the pregame show. Guys, make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you guys subscribe. We'll see you guys after the game. Let's go, Heat.
Appreciate you guys.
The other team's best early punch instead of throwing the first 2, 3, 4 punches. What does it say about your team that they can come out against a desperate opponent and make this kind of statement?
That was a solid, mature, professional approach. There's a lot of pent up stuff here, and we're getting closer. But we still have to finish this off. But certainly the approach, and you can tell by just the morning session how much it means to everybody. But then you have to prove it and do it on the wood. And they did. Boston did come out, but we were able to get the game on our terms and sustain it. Even through some of the runs in the first half and early in the third quarter.
They sent more doubles at Jimmy today. What did you like about the way you guys handled that and maybe generate open looks off that?
Yeah, there was one turnover in the first half, but look, we've been dealing with this, for a little bit, not just in the postseason, but there were a handful of key games going down the stretch where teams were committed to try to take the ball out of his hands, and so that gave us some things to work on, during the regular season, and then we handled it much better. After that one turnover, we just got a little bit more organized. The spacing was much better, and then the plays out of the trap, guys were assertive on the catch. But again, if we didn't have those 5 games during the regular season, where we came in the next day and we're really working on it, watching film on it, just getting all on the same page about it, that it could be different by the time we get to the postseason. And then last series, obviously, it was New York. They were pretty committed to that, so at least it was at the front of our mind.
Eric, when you talk about the pent-up stuff you just referred to, is that still residual from the regular season? Is that just because you're so close to getting to where you want to go? Is it?
You can probably, you can probably fill in the blanks from that, but we have respect, deep respect, for Boston, and everything that we went through previously, and some of the emotions are coming out, but I like that. And then we're just going to direct us and keep on focusing on the task at hand, and we'll decompress tomorrow, but we'll really get our minds right to finish this thing off.
You've been very consistent since March, saying how much you liked the direction the offense was taking, and even if the threes felt like making a miss, what have you liked so much about the offense in the postseason?
Well, I like the just the work, during the last 3 months of the season. I mean, it really was all season long, but the intention of coming in after really frustrating losses, watching film, working at it, being intentional, getting on the same page, over-communicating it. Like, this is not working, this is working. Let's get to what's working more. And everybody just pouring into that process. Those are gratifying experiences, particularly when you're losing games and you're getting criticized for it, but you're still able to just come together and try to get it right. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes you fall prey to the criticism and it can go sideways. But this group showed a resilience to try to get it right. And some of those tough lessons, during the regular season where we were losing games because of that, we were getting better from that.
How important has Gabe's pull-up shooting been, specifically during this playoff run, between the step-back threes, coming off the screen?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's not just the pull-up. It's just his assertiveness and aggressiveness and reading the game. I thought he had as much of an impact and put his fingerprints on the win in Game 2 as he did tonight. One of the games he had 4 points. Another game he had 29. And he has that emotional stability to, he sees guys like Jimmy and Bam, who are the perfect role models, coming in as a young player, that it's about impacting winning. And sometimes it's about constantly making the right play and doing it on both ends of the court. That's tough to do as a young player because so much is celebrated just about that last number on the box score. But we do need, since, Tyler and Vic are out, we do need Gabe scoring. Or we need his, I don't want to say that, we need his assertiveness. We need his aggressiveness. We need him putting his eyes on the rim and then making the right play. And everybody wants him to do that. The same thing with Caleb. We want those guys every single time down the floor to be aggressive. It can't just be Jimmy and Bam. Now they're doing, the big muscle work, but you need a lot of guys contributing. And we all love that Nambi version. I've seen that one. And there'll be times where we do need that one. When he's Nambi, he can be special too.
You've talked over the years about the Duncan Bam handoff connection, but just seeing what it's evolved into with the back cutting, with the lob to Bam today, with all the different things they're able to do, just what have you seen it evolve into from that original handoff hub?
Yeah, it's like 5 years of just Malcolm Gladwell, the 10,000 hour rule. This is 10,000 hours of drilling with those two guys a long time ago, forever. And initially it was all dribble handoffs, that kind of trigger. Then we really needed Bam to be also scorer. Then we needed Duncan to be able to put the ball on the floor, do all the back cut and all this stuff, and then try to connect that and get everybody synergistic. And that takes some time. and both guys are trying to develop new parts of their game. But this is the constant evolution of two guys trying to get it right, and knowing that there has to be improvement in that two-man action. But when both guys are a threat and both guys can just read the defense and both guys are not just predetermining, that's when it's at its best.
Spo, you talked so much recently about how important the regular season was and how important playing in all those close games were to get you all to this point. But why is nobody surprised that you all have been able to maintain the level you have in the postseason?
Not sure, and we don't really care. If people don't really want to pay attention to what happened in the regular season, we're not going to make excuses for it. We just had to deal with a lot this year, and I think that beauty in the struggle of not making excuses for it, not collapsing your spirit, because it got tough. There's nothing easy about it, and there can be a beauty in that. You can get better from that. But we never felt that we were far off from where we were last year. So it is what it is. But this has been one of the, the most interesting and gratifying regular seasons. I'm not talking about the postseasons, but just to be able to go through that struggle together and come out of it with a group that was pure of intention, and then trying to get better, and then see it play out in the playoffs. That's ultimately what you would love a regular season to do for you.
Yes, well, you mentioned it can't just be Jimmy and Bam. How gratifying is it to see in a game this important that it was Caleb and Gabe and Duncan stepping up the way they did, when in the game that you knew that it was going to be very important?
Yeah, and Jimmy and Bam are both fueling that. They're just infusing those guys with confidence. In all the moments of truth, Jimmy is going to put his will on the game. And that's what everybody wants from him. And the same thing goes for Bam. The beauty of that relationship is they both know at this point how special and unique that partnership is. As a head coach, I love seeing that. They both see it in each other. But then they also know that they have to impact everybody else on the roster. And we talk about it all the time. You want to breathe life into other guys and ultimately enjoy someone else's success. But that takes great emotional stability. There's a lot of pressure and voices and noise, coming at you from a lot of different ways. But those guys get it. And you're seeing, some of the role players, really grow and be able to expand their games. That only happens if your star players really want that.
Last question. Eric, how's Kevin's ankle?
Yeah, we'll find out. He says he's fine. He was a little bit scared about it. He said he probably could have gone in the second half, but we just wanted to reevaluate it. We're up 15, and I was like, all right, let's just make sure we know what's going on. That's where I'm going right now, is to meet with the trainers and just find out exactly what it is. I don't even know if it's his ankle, at this point. He's just, how he is. He's a tough veteran guy. He said he was fine. So we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, thank you.
Caleb, you've always been, even going back to last year, your confidence has never really been in question. But after the year you guys have had collectively, just where has the confidence we've seen for the last 5 weeks come from? What do you think?
I don't know. I think, like you said, it's kind of always been there. We just, the season, the regular season has been a roller coaster. So I think the fact that we got our foot in the door in the playoffs, and I think we take our chances with any team that has to beat us 4 times. I think that's what it is. And I think that we just understand that, all the way down the line from Spo all the way down to the last guy on the bench, that we believe in each other and we're a connected group, and that we'll find ways to win games.
Caleb, teams that kind of go up 2-0, it could be natural to maybe ease off a little bit and let the Celtics maybe get one here. What was the mindset for you guys coming into this one, and what does 3-0 mean to you guys?
I mean, to me personally, like, I mean, I think I could speak for, everybody in the locker room, but, we understand that it's not done. Like I was saying, it's not first to 3, it's first to 4, so crazy things happen. Crazier things has happened, and we're going to understand, the history of that team. It's a winning organization, and they're going to come out and try to grab a game and go back to Boston. So we got to do everything in our power to understand it's going to be the toughest game yet, and try to close out at home.
Caleb, so many of you guys are playing well around Bam and Jimmy. What do you feel like you guys have proved as far as the depth of this team during this playoff run?
I think it's just a lot of credit to those two guys who just get everybody involved. They could easily take every shot they wanted to right now. With guys down, guys like Tyler that are out, who typically take those shots. That just shows the belief they have in us, and that just asking where the confidence comes from is a lot of it stems from those two guys too. Just believing in us, getting us open looks, and believing that we'll knock them down whether we make or miss. They continue to make the right plays, and so it's hard not to gain confidence, gain rhythm, and want to make those shots for those guys.
Caleb, beyond just the shooting for everybody, even when the offense wasn't going great this season, what do you think you guys have built in terms of the way the offense actually runs that has set all of you up for success, really, in the postseason?
I think, there's a lot of different moving parts. You got, Duncan was in and out, all year. You got Kyle that was starting out. He's come off the bench. There's a lot of different moving pieces. I just think the willingness for everybody to fit in, no matter where they're coming off the bench, starting, whatever it is, whether you're playing, whether you're not. It's really impressive all the way down the line for, some people, being in some lineups and moving around and shifting a lot. And you got Duncan who wasn't playing for a while, and he comes in. He's been a huge, in this postseason for us. It goes all the way down the line, man. I just think that, like I said, it's just the willingness of guys to accept whatever, it is that they need to do in order for us to move the needle. And I think that's been big for us. I think that we've gained that connectivity throughout the season and prepared us for these moments.
Caleb, you talked a lot this is about the way you've attacked closeouts, attacking the front foot and all that stuff, but what makes it, I guess, different with this series, the way you're doing it, because obviously there's different matchups?
Yeah, I just think it's probably based off personnel and, space on the court. I understand I'm going to have some of the bigger guys on me, but they're going to be coming off help side and, off Jimmy, sometimes doubles. And, I'm just trying to be aggressive and, take some weight off those guys, but, just also be myself. And, when I'm, like I said, when we're confident and we go all the way down the line, a lot of guys are capable of a lot of things. So, it's only going to be beneficial when we're all aggressive and assertive like that.
Caleb, was this game the perfect example of Heat culture? You, Gabe, Duncan, all stepping up as the top players of the game?
Yeah, I think. I think most importantly, I think it was the fact how we handled, being up 2-0 right now and then playing at home. I think that we, naturally sometimes you let off the gas because you're at home. You try to rely on the crowd to win the game for you and scoring bunches, feeding off the environment. But I think that we made a point coming in with the right approach and mentality that they were going to come in and give everything they had and just weather whatever storm they had coming. So we're just going to have to stay with the same mindset in Game 4.
Going back to last year's conference finals, the Heat went through a period of about 10 months of frustration and disappointments, and I know you're not quite done with this series yet, but is there something that is the most gratifying about the playoff success that you're enjoying now?
I just think that we got the matchup we wanted. We got to see the team who took us out last year, and you just get there's nothing like a second crack at it. So I think that we're just trying to take advantage of that, and we're playing with like we have something to prove, and we're just a bunch of guys with a chip on our shoulder, so we just want to continue to prove that.
Yeah, Tatum and Brown were two of the top scorers in the league all year. What have y'all done, especially in these last two games, just to be effective against them defensively?
I just think that, we're just playing really hard, trying to be in the right spots, trying to do everything we can to make it tough on those guys. Like you said, they're two of the best scorers in the league. They're bound to score the ball and make things tough on us regardless of what coverage they see. But I think that we've just been, being balled in on the defensive end and having each other's backs and believing in the game plan that Spo puts in front of us. So I think the biggest thing is just being on the same page.
Hi. So his impressive journey has get a lot of attention and support recently. How do you plan to handle the increased expectation that come with such surge attention? Will it be a pressure?
Yeah. To me personally, I think the best thing you could do is kind of just put it in the rear view. I mean, that comes with it. That type of stuff comes with it. There's going to be opinions, expectations, whatever it is. I think we're playing for each other in that locker room, and I think that cancels out all the pressures. We believe in each other. We love playing with each other, and we're flowing and playing great, and we're just having fun more than anything. So I think that kind of cancels out all the pressure because we're not worried about what everybody else is saying. We're just worried about each other in the locker room.
Caleb, I know the series isn't over yet, but as an 8th seed, what does it feel like for you guys to be able to do this to the two teams that were considered the favorites coming into this playoffs, and what does it feel like to be able to pull that off?
I mean, it feels good. I mean, like you said, that's part of, it feels good, obviously because we're AC, but at the same time, we put ourselves in that position. But, we're not playing to prove nobody wrong. We playing to win a championship. Like, that's been the goal all season. It's not like we're just trying to beat teams and, so we can talk trash after we beat somebody or whatever. Like, we know we're capable. We expected this team and this group to get to where we're at right now and continue to go further. And we're going to continue to play like that and, find ways to get to a place that we all were bought in and to want to get to at the beginning of the season this summer. So we're playing for each other. Yep. Appreciate y'all.
We doing?
How we doing?
How are you doing? Doing well, thank you.
How obviously when a team loses 2 at home, you knew they were going to get their best shot, and it didn't look like there was much of a shot from them. How rewarding is it, and are you guys in any way surprised that this one played out the way it did?
I don't know if surprise is the word. I mean, we played well tonight. We defended, we made shots, we forced them into turnovers, and it was just great to be home. I think we rode the momentum of our crowd as well.
Gabe, when it comes to just the dialogue that you and Spo have as a coach and player off the court and just obviously during the game, can you, in a short time, describe some of that a bit?
I mean, well, in shorthand, a lot of it is basketball related, whether it's where we're trying to get the ball, what set we're going to run. If he sees something he wants me to do, or even just share with somebody else. If Bam can't hear him down the court, he needs me to tell Bam something. So I just try to be a voice for him on the court. If there's something that he needs me to relay, and we just go from there.
Gabe, you had a lot of success with your pull-up shooting tonight. When you're coming off the pick and roll and the big is in the drop, Spo mentioned how he kind of needs you to be assertive looking at the rim. What is your decision-making process in that situation in terms of, I'm going to go for the shot or I'm going to get my teammates involved? How does that work for you typically?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, a lot of it's just the flow of the game. If there's another guy that has a hot hand, maybe we'll try to manipulate the pick and roll some way to find him. But my teammates tell me time and time again to come off the pick and roll and be aggressive and then make reads from there. So when they're giving me that confidence and I see a couple go in, I'll definitely continue to be aggressive.
Gabe, Spo's been consistent throughout the regular season, even when shots weren't falling team-wide, that you guys were building something on offense. What was the process like of building even through the failures of the regular season, and how has the offense kind of set you up for success in the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the process was painful at times and rewarding at others. But definitely right now it's rewarding. It's paid off. We've put in a lot of work. It's been a long season, and we're just playing good basketball at the best time.
Spo mentioned you having Jimmy Butler and Bam as kind of role models when you entered the league. Is there anything specific that you've been able to take away from them and maybe even involve in your game on the court, maybe more of off the court kind of thing? Is there anything specific that you could speak to about what you've taken away from those guys?
I wouldn't say anything too specific, but their approach. I think their approach to the game, the way they compete. We've seen them both when they get in their mode. and how they find ways to continue to stay in it or to get back into it night in and night out. Watching them up close in my first year in the bubble, seeing the way they competed during that run was huge for me. It was motivation for me. It's just inspiring to see them go out there and go that hard every night, And now playing, I know how exhausted they were. And doing it time and time again, it's inspiring, and they'll continue to lead us, and we'll continue to follow.
You got to the Heat as more of a two guard, and they kind of developed your point guard skills. How much of the circumstances, injuries, kind of brought out more of that scoring ability and kind of asked, for you to score more and play that role?
Yeah. You never know when or where opportunity will come. All you could do is try to be ready for it. And, whether it was work in the dark or film, just trying to stay prepared, knowing that there was other facets of my game that I may not have been able to show at this level based on the opportunity provided. And when it was, I just tried to take advantage and most importantly, help my team win.
Gabe, you've gone through a lot of tough matchups throughout this playoffs, having to guard certain guards on each of these teams. I guess just how much easier is it to make it for you when Jimmy and Bam always seem to be like helpers for you? One of them is always to be fully helping over. I guess what's the trust level to make that easy for you defensively?
Yeah, well, Jimmy and Bam are when they're off the ball, they're great defensively, especially the way they can lurk and get in passing lanes or meet a guy when he gets to the rim. And but the way we defend it's all five. It's not just those two guys helping me. It's Max as a shrink out the corner, or Duncan rotating, or Kyle telling me there's a screen off the ball, and or Caleb coming and doubling. We got a number of guys that are just competing at a high level. Talking, running around, scrambling. So, we're playing great, but definitely Bam and Jimmy lead the way with that. No question about it.
Hey, Gabe, I remember speaking with you during Media Day, and the first thing you talked about was the disappointing way last season ended. Mm-hmm. And you talked about that being a driving force for you. Is that something we could use to explain this incredible playoff run?
You could. I'm sure you guys will at some point, but we want to win. Our goals never changed. Ups and downs, year in, year out, the Miami Heat are trying to compete for a title, and this year is no different.
Yeah, Gabe, Spo mentioned that, hey, Gabe had a big game tonight, but we felt like he was just as impactful in game 2 with only 4 points, and he kind of phrased it as emotional stability, being able to stay committed, regardless of what your stat line or your shots look like. What's key for you to maintain that emotional stability, regardless if you're taking, making shots, whatever, finding a way to still be impactful?
Yeah, I think it's just important for me to just be where my feet are and just be as present as possible. Whether it's a bad first half or a turnover, just having the next play mentality and just focus on how can I win the next possession? How can I help my team win this next possession or this next play? And just continue to find ways to just help my team.
To win the favorites to win the series and now one step to make the finals. What is the mentality for the next game, next game?
The next game, the mentality is to come out, compete at a high level, defend, try to make the right read every time offensively and just play good basketball. It's the first of 4 games. We're not satisfied with 3. It's great to be at home, and we're looking forward to playing in front of our fans again. Appreciate you guys.